Hey there, sheepdogs. Welcome to the Sheepdogs Union. Today I'm just going to do a quick rundown of a couple gun-related stories in the news and self-defense related stories in the news. The first one that caught my eye was an op-ed piece about a summit offers hope for finding common ground on guns. Link is down in the description. And this is an event that somebody did in Silicon Valley, and they basically got people from across the spectrum on guns to sit down at tables together and talk and do little exercises and stuff. It sounds very much like it was very one-sided in how it was organized and so on, but that's a good idea, and I think we on the pro-gun side should probably be doing that more than the antis, because we can. This is a good job, and there's people doing it. There's Kevin Bixie, No Other Choice Firearms. He does the Aiming for the Truth program. It's not quite the same as this, but he's Maj Touré is another guy is doing the Black Guns Matter thing. It's sort of let's get into places where people are maybe not having a fair conversation and try to have a fair conversation about guns, and or not being exposed to a fair conversation. It's like people there are fair, they're just not they're not getting the other side of the story. So that's good. That we should do more of that kind of thing. Encourage the NRA to host something like that. And granted, the CNN viewers probably wouldn't show up, but we can try anyways, and at least say they didn't show up if they don't show up. So next story, out of Charleston, South Carolina, more cases of people leaving their guns in their carry-on luggage at the airport. Guys, that's stupid. You should know better. Like, I pocket carry. My gun is on me. If I'm wearing pants, I have my gun on me. And I've never gotten into an airport and said, oh, shoot, I forgot to put my gun in my checked bag. Or leave it in the car if I'm going somewhere I can't carry it. Yeah, that should be a no-brainer, guys. Come on. We're better than this. But yeah, it is legal to travel with your firearm. You just have to have it in a separate locked container in your checked bag, unloaded. One of the times where I was flying, they actually asked me to prove that it was unloaded. And so there I am at the ticket counter having to pull my gun out and show the ticket agent that it was unloaded. That was a little bit nerve-wracking. I've only had to do that once. Most of the time they just take your word for it that it's locked and that it's unloaded. But the lady, there was another time where the lady at the ticket counter told the story that just the week earlier, it was fairly recent, that somebody had been going on a hunting trip or something, and they had a rifle that they said was unloaded, and they dropped it and it went off in the airport. So I don't know if that's true or not. I think that probably made the news, but this was a long time ago. So, but anyways, yeah, traveling with guns isn't that complicated. Unloaded, locked in your checked bag, and really how you can get all the way to the security checkpoint and not think that your gun is in your carry-on. I get it, but it's an important thing. You should keep track of it. And last story, and this is a little more serious. So there was a shootout at a Trader Joe's somewhere in California, Los Angeles. Yeah. And I don't know the whole situation. I didn't actually look into the incident itself, because the story that's in the news today is that they have determined that one of the bystanders who was shot by a police officer. So as civilian defenders, that's something that we need to be supremely aware of, is the risk of that bullet missing the target. You don't necessarily have to worry about overpenetration too much, because if you hit the target, it typically, unless you're firing hard cast 357 Magnum, you're probably not going to overpenetrate with enough power to do serious damage on the other side. But that's a real important thing to practice marksmanship. And if you can get to a competition or something where you can do some shooting on the move, I know I don't advocate for competition-based training, because if you're training for the competition, then you can train yourself into bad habits that will get you in trouble in a real defensive situation. But if you basically, competition is the only place that you're going to be able to practice that kind of high stress shooting on the move, that kind of thing. And again, it's like, and you should try to know what your envelope of capability is, and not so that you don't take shots you can't hit, and things like that. And competition is a good place to get that. If you can get onto another private range and do it on your own and just like run around a little bit, and I saw a video online of somebody who had who put bottle rockets on the target that they were shooting at, and had it shooting at them with bottle rockets. That's probably not super safe. Maybe you shouldn't do that, but it was with appropriate precautions. I think that might be a good way to practice. And you can also get that with like airsoft and stuff, although that's not necessarily practicing with your gun. But you can at least learn control and keeping yourself stable while you're in that high stress situation. The other takeaway from this story is, we know that we're no more fallible than the police. But that message isn't necessarily out in the mainstream. So, a thing to keep in mind if you get into debates with people about concealed carry, that, hey, you know what? Statistically, concealed carry civilians, even though we have lower training requirements, have a better safety record than police. And that's something worth knowing and something worth sharing if the conversation comes up, because that's one of the big arguments, the big ideas that I have is that we can get the same effectiveness in terms of stopping crime with concealed carry. But so far, the statistics in the U.S. suggest that we do that at a much lower cost in terms of collateral damage. The rate, civilians with the concealed carry permits commit crimes at a lower rate than police. We actually shoot the assailant at a lower rate than the police, even though we stop the same number, roughly. Those numbers I'd have to look up off the top of my head. I'm not sure, but I know, if you're the civilian with the concealed carry permit is a lot less likely to pull the trigger. They're a lot less likely to commit a crime off the clock, as it were. And so that is an important statistic to remember. And so if you're in that argument, you can share that. So with that, be safe, be vigilant, and always remember to be ready to be somebody else's miracle.